Okay, take two. Tried reviewing this book before once, and it was terrible. It lacked entertainment and enjoyment, much like this book. I think I died a little on the inside. But I have to say, if you are a fan of this book and you really, really love it, please stop watching. I mean, I don't want to ruin your enjoyment of this book, though I have a hard time understanding why you enjoy it. To each their own, I gotta respect that. So, you've been warned. Now let's get this shit show started. Welcome back, Pixel Nation. Comics Division here. And tonight we're talking about the book that has an identity crisis. It thinks it's Witchblade. I would come up with a name that kind of makes fun of it, but quite frankly, I don't give a shit anymore. And I don't care. So here we go, folks. Witchblade. So depressing. I'm nowhere near liquored up enough to take on this project. Okay, so let's talk about the cover. Quite frankly, this is the best part of the book because Roberta put the most time into the artwork on the cover, and it shows. I do like the cover. It's actually kind of cool. The lettering, yeah, not a fan. You should go check out Rise Again's channel. He has a great review of the first Witchblade book. The font they use for the title, Witchblade, honestly, it looks like it belongs on a CD for an emo band. Because clearly it's cutting itself. I'm pretty sure I subconsciously stole that from Rise. Now, the artwork throughout the rest of the book... it's bad. There's times where it's pretty good, and there's times where it looks like it's rushed, like really bad. People don't have faces. And Roberta made these really weird creative choices where there's a dude that's naked, and rather like do something like where his junk is being blocked, they just shade his lower half. It's really weird. It's really weird. Now, one of the main problems this book has is establishing time, like when these things take place. Now, I'm kind of guessing this is the present, but it flashes back and you really don't get oriented as to what's going on. Typically, there is some sort of note saying when this is taking place, if you're showing stuff out of order. So, Alex is being interviewed by Detective Rosalind, and the thing that's really weird about it is you end up finding out that she's being interviewed at the precinct where the guy she killed worked at, even though she's not based out of this precinct. And quite frankly, it's kind of some lazy writing because what is happening is they're trying to get her to discover this one individual that was in the same cult as the other dude, whose name I don't remember because quite frankly, it's kind of forgettable. I think it was like Gale or something like Detective Gale. Honestly, I don't care. I don't care enough to remember these things. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue. Detective Groves. There we go. Anyway, like I was saying, now we do get this. This takes place 2 days earlier, so I guess we are in the present on that previous page. So this is where the book picks up where the last one left off. Groves is dead, and his wife looks like a dude. And these are the things I'm talking about was some of the art. And the thing that makes me crazy is that Alex almost has the exact same expression throughout the entire book. Kind of this blank look. Okay, so the cops show up and Alex is at the ambulance and Detective Groves' wife is being interrogated. And apparently none of the cops are paying attention or doing their jobs because Alex just slips away. Now she is a person of interest who just killed a police officer. Do you really think they're going to let her simply walk away without being questioned first? This seems rather bizarre to me. And I'm no police officer, but I'm pretty sure that shit simply doesn't happen. I have family members that are police officers. I should probably ask them. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, but this seems really weird. Especially when a cop was killed. So all this seems really kind of weird to me. You think that they would have an officer stationed with her? Or at least a paramedic or something. But no, walks away. I do have to say that last panel is actually quite beautiful. The silhouettes with the snow, that's actually pretty cool. I do like that. Now, being it Alex is dressed the same, I'm assuming this is the same evening. She goes and meets Ash for tea. Nothing really important happens here. But then you have this page, and things seem kind of out of order to me. It doesn't make any sense, and again, this is an example of where the art can be inconsistent. The first panel looks great. The second one looks weird because her eyes are blanked out, and I don't know if this is like the powers of the Witchblade because this shit isn't really being explained. And then you have this third panel, which is actually pretty cool. It's a very dynamic shot, and I love the angles, but there is not a lot of detail in her face. But there's a lot of detail in those chairs there. Anyway, this feels very disjointed. On the previous page, she was having tea with Ash. Now she's in her office? I guess? I mean, I don't know. The problem is it's not being established. And quite frankly, I don't remember from the last book what happened. I'm guessing this has to be her office. But those exteriors look like it's her apartment building. Damn it, Witchblade, I have questions and you're not providing me with any answers. Now we have Alex actually at her office, and you can tell that her shirt is a purplish color, which means this must be a different day, I guess? But again, there is no establishment here that time has passed. If you look out the windows, they're dark and snowy. And it feels like it's the same night. It's like the passage of time is not being established here. It should be daylight. Does this world exist in perpetual darkness? Because whenever Alex is outside, it's always dark. Anyway, so Detective Rosalind shows up and wants to have a formal sit-down with Alex. And she tells her, oh yeah, you can go to the 78th precinct and we can go do our interview there. And she's like, you work there? And she's like, no, I'm just borrowing their interrogation room. Which doesn't make any fucking sense. You'd think that they would go to her precinct for that. Now the thing that bothers me is that she's rather combative, and for the evidence corroborating her story, you'd think that they would have taken a formal statement earlier, either at the scene or they would have taken her downtown. This book tries way too hard to connect the dots for the reader, and it's like things just happen to fall into Alex's lap that don't make any sense. Now, if the story is supposed to be a mystery or a detective story, you think that Alex would go and try and start figure stuff out on her own, but it's like she's being drawn to it. And you could maybe argue that's the Witchblade helping her out, but that's not being established. It just comes off as lazy fucking writing. And it's unfortunate because Coffin Hill was good. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about where they lack faces. And it sucks because that is such a cool dynamic shot. But you think they could have added some... But you think Roberta could have bothered to add some detail to the faces. So Alex and what's-her-name are going through the thumb drive and they're finding all this evidence of police corruption. Look everybody, police corruption. And tattoos that may be important later on. So Alex and Ash, they go to the morgue, I guess to check out the detective's body or something. They prominently display the tattoo that was shown in the evidence, and as you can see, Alex has this weird look on her face, you know, the one we've seen throughout the entire book practically. It's like she either has her hands in her face crying, or she just has this blasé look about herself. You know what? I'm going to show you something from another book. It's going to show you how you draw human emotions. This is from an independent comic book called Rags. I highly suggest you go check it out. I'm going to be doing a review on this book pretty soon. Hopefully this week, maybe next, we'll see. It's created by a guy named Brian Ball, and Brian found this artist on DeviantArt, and he's from the Philippines. He is, I'm not gonna say a nobody, but he's not somebody who works in the industry. And his art is far superior to what we're getting here. I mean, look at Regina's face. She is visibly upset, and you have this range of emotions going on with these characters. Oh, by the way, did I mention that they actually have their mouths open when they talk? Because it seems like everybody in fucking Witchblade talks with their mouth closed. And now back to our dose of comic book induced depression. So as you can see in the last panel, Detective Grove sits up and they look like they're a good ways away from him. Actually, I do like the way he's shadowed. That does look pretty cool. But it seems like Ash could have had better detail in his face. It's weird. It's like sometimes Roberta draws lips, sometimes she doesn't. It's kind of weird. I say that a lot about this book. It's kind of weird, because I find the decision-making baffling! And then we get this page. Like I said, his lower half is shaded. It looks really stupid. On the previous page, it looked like they were several feet away, but no, they were magically drawn to him close enough for Ash to get knocked away and for him to grab Alex. The way Ash looks is pretty cool. I mean, that's a pretty cool panel, with the exception of the fact that Detective Groves looks really fucking stupid. It's like he's wearing guy liner or something, and his lower half was scorched by a blowtorch. Does Roberta have a problem with men or something? It seems kinda weird to me. So Ash gets tossed out of the morgue into a cabinet filled with bones. I'm pretty sure they don't have these things lying around in morgues. At some point, they kinda need to bury the bodies? I do have a friend who works in a morgue, I can ask them. I'll do that. But this seems, you guessed it, weird to me. I'm becoming very predictable here. Anyway, Alex and Detective Groves, they stare deeply, lovingly into one another's eyes, and, Alex proceeds to make out with him. Oh, wait, she's supposed to be biting his ear off. It looks like they're fucking making out. And then Ash decides to close the doors, and he's like, hey, let the Witchblade help you. And Alex is like, no, let me out. And somehow how the fuck did she get away from him? It's not like she drew blood or anything. She's sticking her tongue down his ear. So he's like, hey, baby, come back here. You hot stuff. Why are you leaving me, man? You're just nibbling on my ear and shit. Now you're walking away. What's the deal? I thought we were having a good time. And Grove's like, come on, baby. You know you like it rough. Let me throw you against this table here. So she goes and grabs his bone saw that was knocked on the table and grinds his wrist. None of this makes sense. And then he's all the way back near these cabinets, and she grabs his hand because she sees it smoking. Oh, God. This doesn't make any sense. Oh, also, as you can see, the lower half has been scorched by a blowtorch again, because apparently Roberta couldn't have raised Alex's leg a little higher to cover his junker or something, because she's busy buffing his arm with the bone saw. So Alex grabs a scalpel and stabs the no longer smoking hand, and Detective No Pants is like, oh my god! And then Ash walks in and he's like, hey, what's going on here? And she's like, I'm okay. The guy just went away because I stabbed his hand, and now I'm bleeding, and this makes no sense. I mean, come on, guys. I'm not the only one who's probably confused by this. Is it just me? Is it? Inquiring minds want to know. Excuse me while I drink some alcohol. That's tasty. Ash is like, fuck this shit, I'm out of here. You're gonna fucking die because you refuse to use the Witchblade, and I'm just gonna wait around for the new host to show up, so long. And for whatever reason, Alex walks into this strip club and she notices these footprints on the ground, because, people walk in ink and leave footprints everywhere they go. And she goes back to the back room of the strip club, and the guy's like, hey, can I help you? Now, these last two panels are actually pretty good, I think. So Alex is like, hey, I'm looking for the bathroom. The dude's like, get the fuck out of here. And she's like, oh, what are you gonna do? And his response is, oh, there's cops here. Something. And she's like, oh, but I can expose the corruption and all this shit. And you think at this point, you think he'd be beating her about the head and neck with a wrench or something, because this guy's obviously a mobster, and it's not like her body could end up in a dumpster somewhere. Because reasons. Also, that third panel, her face looks really fucked up. I mean, if you look at the first two, they're pretty decent. Granted, there's the whole white eyes thing that looks really fucking weird, but the dude looks the same in the two panels that he's in. The last one is actually really good. The coloring seems a bit off because there's more of a red hue throughout the other panels, but that's actually a really good fucking drawing of her face. Kudos. Why isn't this consistent throughout this book? This is the thing that pisses me off. So much potential with the artwork. Clearly, she has put in a lot of work with those last 2 panels, but the rest of it is shit. Okay, the only thing you need to know here is that her friend with the thumb drive gets mugged and it's taken, and I'm just gonna skip to the end because none of this shit really matters anymore. And I want to go to bed because I'm old and cranky. Okay, I lied. I'm not cutting to the end, but her friend shows up and she's like running in and like, ow, my ribs, I'm in so much pain. Hey, look, they took the thumb drive but left this briefcase, and look, it's my family reunion, so they're gonna target my family or something. So now I guess we're back at the beginning where she's being interviewed. The thing that really bothers me is that throughout this entire book, they managed to stay away from stupid identity politics, but here's where it comes out. She basically goes and says, oh, she's batshit crazy, but gets all pissy when the other detective is calling her a bitch. And she's like, first of all, what'd I say about bitch? Pick a pejorative that isn't gendered. I'm not giving a dirty cop's case to his fat buddy over to go cover it up in some shit. Just make sure that nobody else blah 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 blah. And he's all, bitch. So he's like, hey, crazy bitch, it's time for me to take you home. And she looks down and sees the footprints and then sees the fucking tattoo on his neck, which makes no sense considering he had his tie all the way up and now he's like adjusting it and it just slips out and the Witchblade gets all fucking overfiend and shit. About to get some tentacle pounding going on here. So there's some back and forth and more overfiending going on, and he's like, oh my god. So she mentions something about the mark. What do you mean you can see the mark? Like with his arms waving in the air, all like one of those fucking inflatable wavy hand thing. And you can see that he's still leaving this inked footprints behind him. See, this is what I was talking about. This is the reason why she had to be interviewed at this precinct so she can run into this guy. Connect the dots very fucking poorly. Anyway, I gave this book another shot, and it makes me really want to hate it. You know, the third one comes out on Wednesday. I really want to buy it simply so I can hate fuck it. Anyway, that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you totally hate my review because you like this book, I get it. But I don't, because I don't get why you like it. Now, if things were a little bit more consistent, I think it would have been a much better story, but it wasn't. Maybe by the third book they got their groove, I don't know. I guess I'll find out. But a lot of stuff that really bothered me was the inconsistency with the artwork and the things that simply just didn't make sense. It jumped around a lot. And sometimes you kind of have to connect the dots for the reader with the artwork. I'm pretty sure it wasn't just me. If it was, let me know. If I'm being a dum-dum, by all means call it out. Like, subscribe, share on social media. Let me know what your thoughts are, and until next time, enjoy your reads.